All right, so episode 7 of Project Build Leverage. So this week, the goal is to launch the one-on-one offer to work with me, which I'm just going to be called Chief Leverage Officer, which basically I'm going to guide people one-on-one to become a Chief Leverage Officer so they can have a business that runs on leverage. Now, we'll go into more details on that after this video, but I want to give you an update on what I'm working on. So in the future, I'm planning on running multiple offers. As you can tell from if you watch the video, the 2-Hour Man business model, there's going to be a lot of people in different stages. There's going to be people on the community stage or people that get access to all my tools. There's going to be people that work with me one-on-one, and there's going to be people who work with me at a more VIP stage. So kind of it's going to be like basic, premium, VIP. Okay, so I'm going to have many people, and I'll need a form of way to manage everyone as a client. So what I'm working on right now is creating an automation. They'll be able to, let me share, they'll be able to go through the payment processor I'm using, which is ThriveCart, and then filter through it to a point where it can update this Notion client tracker. So on here, I'd be able to track everyone's name, email, the package they're on, the program status, notes, program start, program end, days left, expected week, payments, and so on. So I could track every client's payments and understand I'm on top of everything and have this automated so I don't need to do it manually, because I'm planning on getting more people into my world, and the more people there is, the harder it is to scale to manage everything. So let's say one of my clients hasn't paid, or someone in the community tier, because those people I'm not going to be communicating with all the time, they don't pay anything. So I need some place where I can see as a glance from a top view how things are going. By the way, this is dummy data, so don't take this isn't actually how much I make, but basically I can go here, I can see active clients, and I can see my current MRR here. This is my current MRR, but just as an example. So I could see everything here. So this will be I could manage my whole business on here, and yeah, do this every week. Look at here, see the numbers, look at whose programs are ending, and then I can figure out these people I can send a different type of offer, upsell, downsell. So this is the core dashboard I'm going to be using to understand financial numbers and what I could do in terms of being proactive, because being reactive with clients is the last thing you want to do. You want to be proactive, always looking to update them, upgrade them, and so on. Okay, so this is the game plan. I'm going to work on this for the next deep work sessions. Might be two-hour deep work sessions, try to see how much I can get done, and then I'll keep you updated on that, because this is going to be the critical thing that needs to get done. If I don't get the client payment trackers, then what's the point of getting people into my world? I'd rather get it done now, so when I onboard some new clients in the next coming weeks, I can have this to manage stuff. And then when I decide to open up the other tiers, which is community tier and other tiers, I have this one consolidated dashboard that I can manage. So I'm gonna work on this, gonna be sharing you updates once I have anything new that comes up.
All right, so as I'm building this automation, I'm using Claude specifically to help me out with building everything. So this is a good thing nowadays, is that you do not need to be super familiar with these automation platforms. Let's say Make, Zapier, or N8N. Like, you don't need to know the intricate details. You just need to know how to ask AI on how to do it, and AI will guide you to do it. So exactly what I'm doing on here, I'm building out everything out. I'm connecting things from ThriveCart and then connecting it to Make, and then Make connects it to Notion. So it's pretty straightforward. So there should be no excuse to building systems in your business. And really the goal of this is that this client payment tracker is going to help me a lot, because once I get more clients in my world at different tiers, I can then manage who's paying what and who's not paying what, and I could be on top of things. And managing payments is low leverage work. It's not something that's going to grow the business. So having this automation is going to save me a lot of time.
All right, so we got something to work. So when someone purchases something on ThriveCart, when I set the specific label of that product to either community, actually tool tier, basic tier, or premium tier, which I'm basically going to have 3 tiers to my to work with me as a client. So if I go back to here, so there's basically three tiers. There's community tier, which is the I call tool tier. Then there's the uh, premium tier, which is long-term community member, where they can pay a little bit more money to get access to me. And then there's one-on-one client, which is VIP and this stuff. So to become a client or a community member, I'm gonna use three tags: tool tier, basic tier, or I think premium tier, and then VIP tier. So I have those three tiers, and what's gonna happen is over here, when someone buys on Thrivecart, let me show you 1 second how that looks like. For example, I created this test product. Product name is just going to be called Webhook Test Product, and the label is tool tier. So that means I'm just testing this as a test product. So when I have my actual 2 hour club thing, the 2 hour club tool tier kit, which can be called tool tier, when someone purchases this from here, which let me show you. So when someone purchases from here, I can put my name here. I'll put like a new name. Let me put my other email. Okay, so I can put this email, click continue, complete order. And what's going to happen is it's going to go through this automation. Thrivecart's going to get it. It's going to go through this filter here, which can determine, okay, is it tool tier, normal tier, premium tier? Because other products, let's say I'm doing a one-time product, I don't want this to be added to the database here. So as you can see, it got added, but I want to show you very quickly. So it goes through this, it goes through it finds my Notion database, then it figures out, is this a new client or did we find, or is this a previous client? So this is a new client, so it went ahead and created this. So if I go back to the Notion, you can see over here, it added, I tested it previously, it added here, it added my name, my email, the current package, which is tool tier, which is people joining the community, active, program start, and then program end. Usually I run a 16-week program. So I put it in the program end date, but I can always change it. So if someone decides to cancel, I can change the date to, like, let's say they canceled in a week. I could put the day they canceled. Okay, and then days left from the day the program ends, the expected week. Okay, they're on week 1, the weeks they've paid, 1 week, and so on. So what this can do is that this can track the late payments as well. So I can go over here, I can see lifetime value. Obviously I put a testing this with $0, but I can see the payment gap. So like how many weeks behind they haven't paid, the weekly rate, how much they're paying, and current weeks paid and expected weeks. So if we're on week 3 and they paid 3 weeks, that means there's no payment gap. But if we're on, let's say, week 5 and they only paid 3, that means their payment gap is 2 right over here. So they haven't paid for 2 weeks. So just an example. So from here, I can manage clients and I can see their current payments all at one look. And the good thing about this is I can see their days left and I can be proactive. Let's say someone has 4 days left. I can be proactive with an offer. Tell them, hey, if you decide to stay in the community, I can give them a upsell to work with me more, or I can give them a downsell to stay longer. Okay, so that's that. So let me go back to here, and let's go over the logic and how I'm planning to do this. So when a client signs up, this is the flow chart. Client signs up, the Thrivecart checkout. A client pays weekly. There's a Thrivecart webhook, payment success. It goes through make. There's a filter. Does it contain tool, normal, premium tier? Then it searches through Notion database by email. Does the client exist? If no, it creates a new row like it did just now. It set weeks paid to 1. Then it sets the LTV to the payment they paid. Set program status active. Set program start equal today. And then if the client already exists, let's say it's a recurring payment, it will just update the existing record. So every week as I get payments from clients, because I do a weekly pricing, It'll update the existing record. So it'll add current week's paid, it'll add one. So where you paid, let's say second week, they'll pay again for the second week. And then it'll do the LTV plus the payment amount. So I could see the total LTV of each client. And it will update the last payment date equal to today. And that'll update the Notion database update. Now, the next thing is I've completed this. So this is just for new clients. The next thing I need to create is the cancellation. So if someone cancels, I need to get the webhook, send it to make, and then change the update program status to churned, and then self-cancel, then put date as a note, or show the date where they cancel. Maybe put that as a program override, this over here, program end override. That'll just be the churn date over here. So when they decide to churn. And then I could have multiple views on here that I could use to help me identify and make decisions. So financial summary, I know it's empty here, and active clients MRR, I could see here my current MRR, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, so the only thing I need to do manually is these four things: change package in Thrivecart. So let's say a tool tier person wants to become a client of mine. I can just update their pricing on PayPal, change it from like $50 a week to $100 a week. They upgrade, and update out to Notion, and that'll be done. And they can add notes. And then I could manually change our program end date. So let's say someone wants to agree to make a commitment to work with me for 6 months. I could change the end date to 6 months later. So this gives me the most valuable thing about this is that this will allow me to be proactive with my current clients and understand when their end dates end, understand who's paying what, who can I provide more value to, who can I provide a downsell, upsell, cross sell, etc. This is really powerful. So yeah, this is how this works. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive in and build out the cancellation route, and then I'm going to share that with you. All right, so check this out. So in the past 3 hours of focus, as you can see over here, I put in 3 hours of focus today. I've completed pretty much a running system. Let me put up the other scenario here. I've completed these two automations that will connect my payment processor, which I use Thrivecart. So successful payments will then update this Notion, and then any cancellation will also update the Notion with churned. So for example, I haven't tested the churn yet, but if someone cancels it, it will send a trigger to make.com, and then what's going to happen is going to change the program status to churned. So now I know when people cancel, I know that they're canceled, and I could then program something in to send an email to me, this person canceled, and I can remove them from my community or from the tool tier, because this is going to be key. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. So in 3 hours of pure 100% focus, and of course I used AI to help me out over here. So you can use Claude to help you build out these automation. Just ask it what you want to do, and it's going to help you build it out. So there's nothing holding you back from building systems in your business. I mean, you can just use Claude, ask AI. You have tools like Make, NA10, Zapier, and you could use those tools to help you regain back time. So think about this. What is one thing in your business right now this week that you can work on, a project that you can work on, or system you can build that will regain you back more time? You know, there's nothing holding you back. There's AI. It's only putting in the focus time to get this stuff done. So yeah, that's cool. Got this system done. So I think the next step is I'm going to be working on, because I have this, the next step is I'm going to be working on, let me share this with you. So like I mentioned in the last episode, I wanted to work on one-on-one. So this automation is working. So when people sign up, they'll be added to client tracker. So I'm ready to get new clients in and start doing things. So the one-on-one is going to be mainly, I'm going to be working with my clients, working with them and building out stuff. So let me show you what I got going on here. So this is the offer document I'm going to be using. To work one-on-one with me, it's going to be called Chief Leverage Officer, because that's our goal. We're going to transform you to a Chief Leverage Officer. I think a lot of people want that. A lot of people like the identity. I used to use 2 Hour Man. 2 Hour Man is great. Might still use it, but I think Chief Leverage Officer is better for one-on-one because I'm going to be working with the person on a one-to-one basis, and it's most likely going to be a transformation in terms of identity. So you're going to be working on the performance, starting from their energy, focus, and then fixing their clarity, mapping out their business, and identifying what they need to do in terms of implement digital assets, tools, and so on. Just basically guiding them towards implementing leverage into their business, not only in their business, but also in their lives in terms of how they approach their work, productivity, and performance. If you've been following me on YouTube, you probably know what I'm talking about here. If not, then feel free to watch other videos. So yeah, Chief Leverage Officer, this is the Gamma doc. And basically going to be using this document to show people what they're going to get by working with me. And then once people go through the doc, I'll let them know if they're in, I'll have a conversation with them, and I'll send them the checkout. The checkout page is going to look like this. So this is synced to the checkout page. So if someone signs up, they'll join the normal tier, not the premium tier. They'll join the normal tier. Actually, this shouldn't be here. So they'll join the normal tier. And right now, to become Chief Leverage Officer, I made it affordable to start with $100 a week. And this is exactly what they get. So they'll get 1 monthly full-hour call with me and private Telegram access with me, which I'm going to help them, and access to our club toolkit. Those are the main things, and some other stuff here. So yeah, they could pay $100 a week for 16 weeks. That's a commitment. That's how long the program ends. Or they can pay in full and save $1,000 if they decide to pay $4,160 for a year. So yeah, this is going to be the game plan, is running this campaign for this week. And I'm glad I got the client tracker done, because that is something that I want to have, because it's going to help me in terms of leverage. So if I go back to, I know I'm rambling over here. So if I go back over here, so when people pay, managing people's payments is going to be easy now, because I have this system over here. So if I scroll down, this is one of the system, which is client and automatic client payment tracker or dashboard. Now it's done. So the next step is for the community tier, I'll need a client success journey roadmap template, which is what I'm going to be working on while helping these one-on-one clients to build that. So yeah, that's that. I'll see you guys in the next scene. So it's the next day. It's 6 a.m. right now. Let me show you real quick so there's proof. 6 a.m. right there. So I want to talk about something really important. So, building out all these systems, it does take a lot of effort and thinking. It's not like I just come up with a system design that works
how long they're in the
and like
program,
the first
and I could be
thought
proactive
iteration
by
that I have.
asking
This
people
takes so
towards
much
the end of the program
time,
for a case study. And I could use a
especially
case study to
the
leverage
type
to
of
get
business
more
model I'm
clients.
running. There's a lot
I
of
made that mistake
elements that
before
goes
where
into it.
people
It's
would
not like
graduate from my program and I
it's
wouldn't ask for a
one
case
thing
study.
and it's all.
And then
It's like a lot
they
of
would
things that come
complete the
together.
program, and it would be kind
So-
of awkward to ask for a case study once.
And then
they're
at
not
the
a
same
client
time,
anymore.
trying
So
to
I
do it in a
recommend
way where
asking
someone
people
can experience the
to do a
transformation
case study
and
for
me,
you or to
them
ask
getting
a
the
video
relevant
testimonial,
information
like,
at the
so
right time
while they're in the
isn't
program, while
easy.
they're
Because
happy
if
with
you
you.
look at the big picture of everything it takes to run a business on leverage and just there's assets and systems, it is going to feel extremely overwhelming. On my YouTube channel, another guy on the previous video, a guy said that just looking at the visual was like sensory overload. And you know what? I kind of agree with him. It is sensory overload, but that picture was more for me than more for the person watching it, because when I have a clear picture of all of the elements, then it's easier for me to break it down step by step and create simpler parts of it. So anytime you see a system all together, whatever thing you break down, the human body, the car, if you look at it as a whole, it's going to look so complicated. It's going to look like sensory overload. Even if you take apart a computer, if you look at it, it's all going to be sensory overload. That's not the focus. The focus is looking at how do elements work together and building stuff step by step. That is my primary goal. So the next step here is, I know I have the visual, so is then taking that visual, breaking it down into simpler concepts, which is going to be on HelpKit, creating more step-by-step checklists. So let me show you how that looks like. So in the school community, I have all the workshops here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be archiving everything here, and only VIP stuff will be visible over here. So maybe like exclusive trainings. So everything else, I'm going to archive all of this and make sure everything is hosted on the Help Center, because this is trained on AI and I could ask AI anything. So if I keep this here, it's just going to confuse people when people join the community. They're going to think, oh, should I watch it here or should I watch in the HelpKit? So giving people more than one decision creates decision fatigue and just makes people confused. So that's step number one. So what that's going to do, that's going to allow me to clean up the onboarding, at least from the start. So when people join the community, whether it's a one-on-one client or it's a community member, they're directed clearly to where they need to go, which is going to be the school community, but the classroom is going to be empty, maybe just exclusive training, and those are going to be archived. Maybe even no trainings on school. I'll be using school primarily for group calls and big updates. I have to decide whether I want to host courses there, but I think having it both on HelpKit and school will just complicate things. So that's the goal. So I set up some action items today. So I'm going to go to the gym right now, and I'm going to do, right after the gym, I'm going to come back, do a weekly review. I don't know if this is visible here. Visible. I'll do a weekly review, and then I'm going to record a Loom video because, as you know, I'm constantly working on upgrading the HelpKit. So for example, right here, I'm working on the 2-hour video and I'm working on the thumbnail. For example, this is a thumbnail I created called How to Create YouTube Thumbnails by Stealing Like an Artist, or like basically the 3 types of thumbnails that you see on YouTube and how to create them. So I have like an SOP here. So I'm going to be updating this SOP at the bottom so community members can use this to create thumbnails quicker. So yeah, this gets me to, again, this system that I have, or running a business on leverage and system, is not like, oh, boom, I click a button, a system gets uploaded, I'm making passive money. Like, that's not how life works. You know, there's a lot of things over here. There's, as I listed, intellectual property assets, brand building or world building assets, personal performance assets, sales and marketing assets, AI prompts, 2-hour YouTube, checklists and templates. So these are all the things that I'm going to try to make it as easy as possible to implement. So again, like, getting someone to get a transformation is not easy, especially when it comes to business, you know, because there's a lot of moving parts that goes to it. So going back to what's the plan for today, after that, I'm going to be planning out my next offer, which is basically this, the pricing that I'm thinking of doing. And then I'm going to work on week 1 roadmap of the HelpKit, which is going to be this. So I'm going to be updating this and then potentially working on week 2. So when I get new one-on-one clients in now, I can have week 1 ready, and then I can have week 2 ready, and I'm going to build out the roadmap week by week. So by the time I want to launch the tool tier, the tier where people don't get access to me, which they only get access to HelpKit, then I'll be able to do that. All right, so we're at the gym now. So doing back and biceps today. I already did biceps, but gonna do this lat pull down machine. And that got me thinking about, like I said earlier, how people expect things to be simple for everything. Well, it's different for business.
Now, it's different for business because business is like a system, just like any other system. So just an easy example, if you take a look at a laptop and you break down the laptop, if you look at it just from the get-go, it looks very complicated. This looks like sensory overload. There's so many things going on. Same thing with a car. If you look at the car system altogether, it will look like sensory overload. And that's just the nature of operating a business. There is going to be some sort of complexity when it comes to building out the systems, because you'll need to know how to architect and engineer it in a way where you can operate where you can operate the system. So the great thing about a car is that a car is simple to operate, but any mechanic that knows how to fix a car needs to have a very good in-depth knowledge of the moving parts in it. So the engine, the systems, and so on. And if you ask any computer engineer or any mechanic, if they look at any of these 2 diagrams, they'll immediately know what's going on. It's just something that they've learned and become accustomed to. Well, we should do the same thing as business owners. We should have an in-depth knowledge of how our business is structured so we can tweak it to operate in a more simple fashion. So that kind of means, as a business owner, you should have a good picture of how your business operates, which is why one of the first things I do is visually map out your business, because then how can you go under the hood to install new systems or install new stuff into your business so it's easier to operate? Just like how you operate a computer. If you want a faster computer, you just either buy a new computer or you look at improving the specs inside the computer. Same thing you should do with your business. Now, unfortunately, saying that business is complex, it's not something that's going to do well in marketing. So I'm a big proponent of trying to simplify things, but we cannot escape the fact that business is a system and there's some sort of complexity that goes around there. Because if we stuck to simplicity when it comes to business, then what's going to take the complexity is doing the work ourselves, right? So let's take the car as an example. I could walk towards a direction. That's the most simplest way possible. I do not need to build anything. I could just walk to the direction. Or I could get a car, which is easier for me to get to my direction, but is a completely more complex sort of equipment that I need to use. Now, with business is kind of like your vehicle to becoming rich, right? I could walk to generate money. Let's say a good analogy of this is trading time for money, working a job. Or I could build a business that will make me significantly more money and get me faster towards my financial goals. But unfortunately, you have two choices. You could buy a business, which unfortunately has a lot of money you can invest, or you could build a business, which is what we're doing. We're building a business. Now, again, I still do believe that business can be simple, but the way that we tackle the complexity is we start by learning each component step by step. And that is what my goal is with my community and work with my clients is I try to minimize the complexity or the confusion by installing this AI system and all the stuff that gets people to help to the things that they need quickly. So let's say, as an example, let's say a part of your car, the engine isn't working. How do you fix the engine? How to diagnose your problem to fix just the engine? For business, it would be like, okay, you're not getting any leads. How do you get more leads? Well, you can ask my toolkit about your problem, and it'll direct you to what to solve. So that's the thing about business is that it is going to be complex if you're going to map everything out, which is what I like to do, because like giving people a map, a diagram, so they can know how their business looks like. Then later on, we could get familiar with different parts of the diagram. But to anyone that doesn't know your business will find it complex and confusing. But you as a business owner should be able to look at your business and figure out, okay, is this simple enough for me to read? Or you should be familiar enough where you could quickly understand what's going on. Now, with that being said, the key takeaway here is if you want to have something that'll do the work for you faster, you need leverage. And generally, building things that has leverage requires a little bit of complexity. Okay, so like a car has complexity to build it, but it gets you from point A to point B way faster. It's a form of leverage. A laptop has multiple parts, has a motherboard, has a RAM, has a SSD, has all these things, but it's able to store much more information than if you were to read a book or so on. This technology we have nowadays is a form of building things that are somewhat complex that allow us to experience a output that is simple. So if you want to operate a car, it's pretty simple. You just turn on the gas and drive it. That's the goal of business. So your business should be simple your products and services should be simple to use, but then the complexity should be something that you should take care of as a business owner. Don't try not to put the complexity into the customer or the client, which is something what I'm trying to do as well, which is the whole goal of me building out this knowledge base. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for my clients and customers to get familiar with business, even though it is complex. I'm trying to create simplicity with complexity, but regardless, you cannot escape the complex side of it. We're back from the gym. So our plan is to put in 4 to 5 hours to work on what we had planned today, which is to complete a minimum viable version of the onboarding system for people that join my one-to-one, and then to see what we could do with the school community and see what we come out with, and potentially complete week 1 of the roadmap, which is going to be the game plan. And I know this might feel like it's hard to follow along, but this is just me as a person that is building a business
is this is how it's going to feel like when you build systems. You're just going to work on what seems to be the highest leverage thing at the moment. What is clear to you in your mind, you work on it, and then you allow things, you allow the path to clear forward. Because if I had a super clear picture, it would take such a long time for me to create that thing, because I'd spend much of my time at thought rather than execution. When you need both, you need to think and execute. They both work together. As you execute, new ideas come along and you start to see what works better. If I decided to just make sure everything was perfect from the get-go, I'll always be thinking about how this could be better, and I wouldn't monetize. So the goal here is to create a minimum viable, not a minimal viable product, but a minimum viable system that does the job, and then I could find the gaps and fill in the gaps later. I'd rather have a system running than not have a system at all and just think about perfection and not have anything. So that's the plan. Let's see you once I'm done. I'll keep you updated.
All right, so for the next few hours, I did a quick weekly review, and then I worked on recording a video breakdown on how to create YouTube thumbnails for my clients. Now, the next thing I did was I exported everything from my school community onto HelpKit. And what this is going to do is, like I explained in previous video, is that this is going to allow people to read through all my content with AI. So if they have a problem, they can ask an AI chatbot and it will tell them exactly what to do and where to go. So instead of trying to sift through multiple pages, which is complex, they get a simple answer quickly. All right, so I've been working for the past few hours and the recording for some reason just stopped. I think the camera ran out of battery. But I've been working with AI. Actually, let me show you first. So I went to my school and I put everything, I double checked, cross-referenced everything with HelpKit to make sure that all my workshops are now exported onto HelpKit and it's not on the 2-Hour Club school community. So for example, over here, I set everything to draft. So only things available is going to be call recordings, which have live calls with clients if they have any questions, and everything is going to be on the 2-Hour Club, which is going to be email protected. So if someone wants to join, well, they have to send their email and then they have to confirm from their email to join. So let me show you when I'm inside. So let's say I put my email here, enter. So here's the email. I can click to log in, and it's gonna log us in. So we're logged in. So everything on here, all the workshops and stuff can be on here. And again, this could be referenced with AI chatbot. Now, the next thing is setting up the roadmap. So I went ahead and used AI to help me plan things out, brainstorm. So spent a good hour or two working with AI and seeing what it could do. So kind of created this mind map of everything that is within the 2-Hour Club and all the systems. Foundation system, planning and strategy, content marketing, sales and conversion, AI automation, tracking analytics, optimization growth, and then everything else. So it did this, but that wasn't that helpful. So what I'm doing is I'm going to try to have it to basically map out every single asset, every single action item, every single system, every single tool that I have, and kind of put it into sticky notes. I asked it over here. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to work together with AI to help me create a roadmap. Because again, as you can imagine, the problem with this in the future is, there's a lot of information online. If someone becomes a client or a community member and again, they access the help center and it doesn't seem clear on what to do next, because again, running a business, there's a lot of things to do it. Like if I just show you what showed over here, so like this is a lot, right? Think about it, like you need to implement all this stuff or like install all this stuff so that you could run a 2-man business. Like someone's gonna look at this, gonna be like, yep, I'm not doing that. So I need to create a roadmap where people can implement things step by step, get a small win, and then they can move on to the next step as they go along. So yeah, I'm gonna continue working and keep you updated, see what comes up. All right, so this is sick. So I got AI
to basically create action items, every single thing, start daily. For example, create 3-month forecast, build target list, welcome sequence. So there's everything here necessary to get people to take action. So now I just need to arrange these action items week by week. So yeah, let's see how it comes out. It's gonna be fire.